Hi everybody, welcome to the final week of the flexible CAD class for Fusion 360. So in this session we will be modelling up the conrod, the connecting rod, and then we're going to assemble it to the piston. So we're going to use some assembly tools and joints, and then at the end we're going to just do a simple animation to see how it looks. I hope you enjoy it. Follow the sequence carefully and you should get exactly the same results that I do. So let's get going. Okay everybody, so we've got a bit of work to do here. I've got a fresh design file open which I'm going to save as piston and conrod assembly. Save that. We're now going to design the conrod or the connecting rod. So sketch on front plane. Now another little tip, if you hit the S button on your keyboard, it brings up the sketch shortcuts. Okay, so I can pick a line from there, whatever I need to. You can look for stuff that isn't the more widely used stuff at the top, but as soon as you use one of these commands, for example arc, and use it, it will then pop itself onto the top. Okay. So first of all, I'm going to create a circle of 35mm diameter. I'm going to just right click and repeat that and do another one of 20mm. So another little tip, you can just right click and repeat. I do one up here of 60mm. Repeat that. And 40mm. I'm going to set the distance between that centre and that centre to be 115. Perfect. I am going to then offset. Well, I need to obviously put a circle in there, a line in there first. Might be useful. I'm going to offset that line by 10mm. Okay, to that. And then I'm just going to trim the bottom bit back to the circle, and it's going to be the start of my. I'm just going to put it there for now. I can get rid of this line now, delete. And I want that to be, oops, from that line to the center line, 8.8 degrees. Now we're just going to go ahead and extend it to the big circle. Perfect. Then I'm going to reflect it or mirror it about the center line. And I'm going to finish that sketch. Okay, so that's the kind of basic shape of our conrod. Now I am going to extrude it. I've left that center line in, so I have to kind of pick everything that I want, each of those bits. I'm going to use a symmetric extrude of 5mm, which will make it 10mm in total as a new body. Okay, I'm now going to sketch on this main face, and if I go down to create and project include, I can include 3D geometry. What that does, if I pick that edge, it kind of pulls it onto the plane that I'm using. So now I've got a circular curve there, and I can offset that by 5mm. Yeah, okay. Do the same here. I'm going to pull out that edge and offset that by 5 millimeters also. Okay. Finish that sketch. So now I'm going to extrude those two areas. Now I want to come out by 5 mil, but because I'm on this face, I'm going to come out 5 mil this way and 15 mil the other way. So it's going to be a two-sided. That'll be 5 millimeters, and the other side will be 15 millimeters. And I'm going to join that in like so. Okay. Now I'm going to fillet 4 edges. This edge here, this edge here, spin it round, this edge here, and this one, the 2 millimeters. See that? And then I'm going to use the chamfer command. And that outer edge, this one, and this one. And I'm going to make that 1 millimeter chamfer. Okay. And finally, for now, with fillets, I'm going to use a fillet again, and this edge here, you can kind of pick through the model, it finds it. The edge there, and that edge there. It's easier sometimes to spin it round. And I'm going to make that 20 millimeters. Okay. Here we are. Okay. Now I'm going to sketch on this face again. And once more, I'm going to pull out the edges to include in my sketch. So I'm going to include this 3D geometry. Actually, I'm just going to pick the entire face, so it should hopefully find all of those edges. So then I can offset by 4 millimeters. Let's make it -4 and hit OK. I'm going to offset that by 4 millimeters and finally offset that curve by 4 millimeters. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, in fact, is create a line here. Extend that the other way. And same up here. Just like a construction line, I can use that, that's better. And extend that the other way. Okay, look at that now. Delete that out. And trim this back. And trim those and that. And this. And this. Okay. So we've got a closed shape there now. Now I'm just going to fillet. I'm going to make these 10 millimeters. And I should make these 7. There we go. I'm going to cut that into the part, not all the way through. So I'm going to finish sketch and choose that profile and cut a distance of -4. There we go. Hit OK. So we're starting to get the sort of form that we're looking for. Next thing, here I've got the little eye is greyed out, so if I can turn that on to see the origin at the bottom, can turn things off and on. I'll turn those on for now. I want to mirror down here. I want to mirror this feature onto the other side. So it's actually a feature, not a face, or it contains faces, but it's actually a feature. I could have picked it in the history tree. And the mirror plane that I want, I need to select that feature, here it is. And the mirror plane is going to be this one. So now we've got that feature cut both ways. Turn the origin back off for now. I'm going to put some fillets in there. I've got tangent chain on, so I'm going to pick that and that. Make that 3mm. 16 edges selected. OK with that. Well, the next thing I want to do is pop a plane up here, middle through that hole, through the middle of the hole. So I'm going to hit offset plane and pick this bottom plane, which I know is 115mm away from center to center. There we go, and say yeah, happy with that. You can resize these planes just by pulling them, doesn't matter. Just okay. Now I'm going to sketch this. I'm just going to pull a line out for construction. And I'm going to make a circle. I want to constrain it a particular distance away right now, but it's going to be 8.5mm diameter. Okay, and I'm going to dimension the center of the circle to this edge to be 2mm. Not that one a bit wrong. Let's fix the position of that. I can't read now. So now, let's just double click this to make it 2. Nope. Okay. Let's just change the length of it. So let's dimension this. Well, fine. Now let's double click this. Better. You can see it gets a bit touchy. It moves the wrong information. And then I'm going to sketch 15mm below that. So I need to offset, well, finish that sketch. Offset this plane by -15. And then I'm going to sketch on that plane. I'm just going to spin it around again so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to project that circle onto our plane. That's a very useful tool, so you can go to project under create and project existing sketch geometry onto the plane that you're using. Very useful. Also, I'm going to remove the link, so there are 2 separate sketches now. That's fine. and just go normal to view. Okay, now I'm going to build a bit more geometry on here, like this. Okay, that's going buried nicely into the part. And let's just trim out what we don't need here. Let's trim this, trim this. Okay. And put a 3mm fillet on each of those corners. And finally trim this out, we don't need that part of the circle. Okay, also I'm going to delete that line and then finish the sketch, and now I'm going to loft between this profile and this profile. And that's exactly what I'm looking for. I'm not going to use any tangency control or transition control, and it's going to be a new body. I'm going to set that as a new body and hit OK. As that's now a new body, I can mirror that. It's a feature, and I'm going to mirror that about this central plane, like so. And I'm going to mirror both of those now. About the plane that we should have. There it is. I'll turn that on, select that, and hit OK. Turn that plane back off. Perfect. Now I'm going to combine these all together. So we should have one part there now. Good. I'm going to sketch on this face. Draw. First of all, let me extract out or project or include 3D geometry. Pick that edge. That should enable me to find the center of that shape. I'll put a 5mm hole on there. And then reflect that across. Okay to that. I'm going to now finish the sketch and punch those holes through to 17mm. It's going to be minus 17 in this case. And it's going to be a cut, that's good. Let's make it 20mm. Better. Okay. Now I'm going to put a screw thread inside each of those holes. So if I go to under create, go to thread. Wants me to select a face. I'm going to select that internal face, and it's recognised that it's 5mm, and I'm happy with that. 0.8 pitch thread, yeah, that'll do. It's not too important. That gives you a nice screw thread inside there without having to model it, which you do in some parametric CAD modeling systems. Do another one in the other hole, thread, 5mm, yep, happy with that. Okay, getting there. Okay, to now sketch on this flat face. Again, I'm going to include all this 3D geometry of that face, which means the edges. Then I can go and select that curve and offset that. How far are we going to offset this? Let's make it 4mm, minus 4mm. Okay, to that. I'm going to measure the length of this line using measure. Try that again. It's 1.961mm. Okay, I'm going to put a fillet on there. If I just say it's almost square, not quite. So if I just say, I'm going to put a fillet on there and a fillet on there. If I made it 1.961, each one would overlap the other. So if I make it 1.961 divided by 2, you can put small equations into these dimension fields as well, which is very useful. And I am going to now finish the sketch and punch that shape straight through, cut. Just going to drag it straight through. And I'm going to add to both sides of the edge a 1mm fillet to round that off. Okay to that. Okay. Now I want to put a couple of bolts into these holes. So again, this is absolutely brilliant, better than most CAD systems. If we go into insert, and whatever version of this software you have, you will find this insert a McMaster car component. Now, I want to screw and bolt, or bolt. I'm going to use metric. I'm using a 5mm, which is metric 5, M5. So if I scroll down, M5, scroll down a bit more, looking for length. There it is. Let's make it 15. Let's make it 18. 18 meters. Try that one. I'll do. If I click on this serial number here, and then click on product detail, scroll to the bottom, and change this pull down from 3D SolidWorks to 3D step file. So it's a step file now, and save that. Give it a few seconds, and it pulls it straight into your design file. I'm just going to drag that around. In fact, if I just hit OK, I can do what I want with it now. Turn off the origin. Okay, now I want to position this bolt into there, but I need 2 of these bolts. So there's the bolt here. If I right click this and hit copy, and then right click in the design area and hit paste, And it comes up with this kind of warning, and it doesn't really matter. I just hit capture position. And it's given me another one, so there should be 2 of these now. There it is. Okay. I'm going to start using the assembly tools to position these now. So if I hit this joint in the assemble area, some components have been moved. It thinks that there may be a previous joint unlinked, and that's fine. Just hit capture position. Now, it's offering me some information, and it wants some selections from me. First of all, I'm going to check that motion is revolute. I'm also going to just select and you can just see a sort of this picking the center of the end, and I'm going to pick the center of that circle, and it pops it into position, although it pops it into position the wrong way around. So if I just hit this flip button, okay. Also, I'm going to use these alignment tools. I think it's Z plane. Minus 18, because I know the length of the bolt is 18, and I'm happy with that. There we go. You can just see a little handle there. That basically says that this thing can spin round, but that's all it can do, because we've centered it and then positioned it in the Z direction. I'm just going to go ahead and do the same here. Okay, so go back, make sure we're on revolute. And we're going to select the end of that bolt, and we're going to select that hole. And then we're going to flip and drop it down by 18 millimeters. Okay, good. The final thing I want to do is put some fillets onto this con rod. So if I go to fillet and select these edges where the feature joins into the part, and the same the other side. I don't want to pick a face. Let's try that again. Apologies. Doesn't pick that. This. Doesn't like it. Too big. Okay. Let's try this bit by bit. I have to make it 0.5. Okay. Put the rest in. Sorry everybody, the fillet was too big. Let's just do those outer edges. .5. Okay, happy with that. So this bottom face. and this bottom face. We'll make that 3mm. That sort of gives you quite a nice weird little blend. Okay to that. And finally, this little edge here and this edge here. Again, I'll make those 1mm. Fine. So that, everybody, is our completed con rod. I'm going to assign material to this. Metal. Let's go down to steel. Let's just pull steel onto that. Like so. And close. Let's save that. Now I'm going to open my piston file a moment because I want to make a very quick change. When I cut the hole there, I just want to measure the distance between. I've already changed it. I've changed the cutout of that boss to be 20mm distant. Let's just check that from that face. From that face, 20mm. You may want to go ahead and just find that extrude in your, there's my extrude, which was an extrude cut. You can go and right click that, edit a feature, and just change the distance to 10mm symmetric, so that'll give you a 20mm cut. Now if I go back up here into, click this tab, I'm going to now open these 9 squares on the top left, which is the data panel. And that shows me all of the projects. There's an admin project. These are all the different things I've been messing around with. If I go to the piston, now I can literally drag that in like so. Okay. And I'm just going to get it into a semi kind of position, 90 degrees. That's the wrong piston, unfortunately. Let's go back. This one. That's better. Okay, so I want to make it around 270. That's better. I can just pull it around. Now again, I'm going to use these assembly tools, so I'm going to use a joint, capture the position, make sure the motion is revolute. Click back to position. I'm going to select this first one, and I'm going to select that face. And for component 2, I'm going to select that face. If I just left click in the graphics area, it should hopefully pop it into place. Because it's revolute, it just gives you a little demonstration there that it is actually a revolving joint. Now click OK to that. I don't really want my con rod moving. I'm going to say that that is my grounded part. So I'm going to first of all go into the bodies. There's body faults up, which is our con rod. I'm going to turn that into a component. If I right click and create component from bodies, okay, and double click in there, I can change that to con rod. Okay, so we're starting building up components within our assembly. Okay, there's the piston. And you can kind of focus on bits that you want to model. So if I've got this turned on with this activate radio button, I can start working on this. But if we have the radio button at the top turned on for the entire assembly, we're looking at the assembly. Now you can just about see this little drag handle. That tells us that this piston can rotate. If I click on that little handle, because we don't want it rotating all the way around, and then I right click on it, I can edit the joint limits. Okay, so the rest will be 0 degrees, the maximum and the minimum will be -45 and 45. Okay, and if I just hit this little animate button, there are the extents. It can't rotate any further than that, and stop the animation and hit OK. Again, I can right click that little handle and just show hide to get rid of it. So that's our assembled piston and conrod. We could model up a very, very simple gudgeon pin to go straight through. You could kind of do that in your own time just to finish off the assembly. Again, I'm going to right click this handle and show hide, and also this one. Okay, so there it is. Now I want to show you how we can animate this very simply. We go to the Assemble pull down and go to Motion Study. Let's drag this over here. Now, it wants to select a joint to animate, so I need to go into our joints. It's this one. And it puts it on the timeline. It tells me it's a revolving joint. Now what I can do is I'm going to just add some points. At point 10, that's going to be 22.5 degrees. Enter. At point 20, it's going to be 45 degrees. Now let me right click that and delete. At point 30, it's going to be 22.5 degrees again. And at point 40, 0 degrees. So we've done a full cycle. And we'll go to point 50 and we'll go -25 to go the other way. And point 60 will go -45. 70 -22.5, going back up again. And point 80 back to 0. Okay. Now if I hit the play button, there we go. Again, I can change the speed on this, make it faster, make it ridiculously fast. We can also change our options. We can play backwards and forwards, or we can just play as a loop. Slow it down a little, and it just keeps looping back. There we go. So that's some simple animation that you can do with joints in assembly. Okay. I think finally, let's just take this into the render mode. And see how it looks. Not too bad. that's a cast steel, or it should be a cast steel for the con rod, and polished aluminium for the piston. Okay, so there we have it. Hey everybody, so that brings us to the end of this 4-week flexible class. I hope you got the results as I did in that last assembly. It was really great actually going through all those parts and creating them and going slowly through each process and you know, slowly building those parts up, and I really enjoyed it, and I hope you did too. Keep playing around with CAD. It's a really powerful tool. You can do pretty much whatever you like with it. There's some great surfacing freeform techniques that I haven't been through in these sessions. This is solid modeling. Anyway, as I say, keep designing, keep creating, and I hope to see you all soon in maybe one of my maths or physics classes. Anyway, take care. It's been great. See you soon. Bye-bye.